Hi, everyone. We are here with Kate today. I am really excited for you guys to hear her story. I don't say I have favorite students because you all are my favorite, but I really love Kate. It's been a pleasure working with her this year so much. So I can't wait for you guys to hear all about her. Kate, why don't you start off with, where you live, what you guys do for work, and kind of why you thought you wanted to invest in rental properties. What was your why?
Yeah, so I live in California. I love California. We pay the sunshine tax to live here, but that means that everyone wants to live here and it's not affordable. If you're looking at rentals, the mortgage versus the rent, 1% doesn't even come close to existing. But I do understand how important real estate is as an investment vehicle. So a little bit about me, I'm a stay-at-home mom. So we've been on one income pretty much for like 13 years since we had kids, and that is a real, hand-to-mouth existence. And what is that going to look like for our retirement? Like that's going to keep the lights on, but that's not going to do well for us by the time we're 60 or 70. So, I figured if I could put my copious amounts of spare time. No, I mean, this is something you can squeeze in where you can. I'm at the baseball field looking at homes, watching Casey's videos, like going through the brick by brick vault. Um, I knew that this was something where I could kind of level up my family's existence. And it's not a short-term gain, it's a long-term game. So what is the saying? Don't wait to invest in real estate and wait. I
Yes, I think
couldn't
that's it.
do that in California. So, never having done this before, needing structure around how do I even start to conceptualize going out of state to buy property. I've never been that part to buy that part of the country across the country. And now I'm just gonna, put money into a house. Like, how do I even like where? What do I do? I can Google it. So I actually found Casey on a podcast, on the Infinite Financial Freedom podcast, and heard her story and how much it connected with myself of kind of being a stay-at-home mom, needing to figure out like, okay, side hustles will pay me a few bucks here and there, but what's the long-term play here? And I'm a smart cookie, I'm resourceful, and what can I do to kind of level up my family's wealth journey?
And real estate was it. You're like, I'm going to buy some rentals. It's going to give us some passive income. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you said, what's my why? I mean, it kind of kept coming back to me of my kids. So my kids aren't going to be able to afford to live where I live. We live in a beach community. So I want to teach my kids to not have to work 2 to 3 9 to 5 jobs if they want their future partners to be, stay at home wives or husbands with their children. That future is not possible for them where we live. And I want that to be possible for them. So it's not just that I want these investments for myself. I want to teach my children how to be the fisherman. I want to help my kids get their first rental property. So this is an entire skill set that I wanted to learn, not just like, oh, Casey, help me get my first house and maybe I'll get a second one.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to teach me to be the fisherman.
Yeah.
And that's what
Oh,
this program has done for me and continues to do for me is you're teaching me how to fish.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I agree. A lot of programs that are just like, here you go. I talked to someone earlier today. They're like, oh, we did a call with someone and they're like, here's your list of houses. Here's my lender. Just go buy one of these houses. And they're like, but I don't know how to do it. And if I just go buy what you say, I'm not learning anything. And I go, exactly. And that's the thing with my program is that now I don't hand you the deals, but you're going to learn how to do it yourself because I don't want you to have to
I
go
just
find a coach every time you need to buy a house. Like that's stupid.
I just spoke with someone who invested, I think it was like $10,000, and it was like they're working on a retainer system. So that person is gonna like a lawyer is gonna charge them hourly and give them a list of houses. And incidentally, they're looking in the same part of the country, same city as me, just coincidentally. And I was like, man, I've taken a deep dive in this community. If I were them, I would be like, how do I know that? Is there any growth potential in this home? Is there it's so multifaceted to just give that over to someone else with that trust all the way across the country. I mean, I've seen how it can go wrong just based on the neighborhood that you buy. So learning how do I look on the crime maps? How do I, do all that kind of stuff? So our friends are going to pay $10,000 to farm it out. I obviously I'm paying less than that, and I'm learning how to do it. Like the infinite return on that I'm the knowledge owner and can be the knowledge giver for my family or friends. It just seemed like it's a lot more work, but I'm walking away with an asset and not just a purchase.
Yeah, I love that. Good points. So how long has it been since you initially thought, hey, Jake, we're going to buy rental properties? What was your journey from thinking you're going to buy rental properties to, I think I need some help before we jump into this? Like, have you done like podcasts or like binge YouTube or taken other courses or programs, or what would that kind of look like before you ran into me?
Kicking around the idea for a couple years. My husband's a realtor, which one would think is lots of money, but it's really not. It's hard-earned money. So we have been around kind of the real estate ethos for 5 or 6 years. My dad owned 2 rental properties himself. So the whole idea of being a landlord and having something that will pay you continuous income, I've always known that that's an option. I've kicked around the idea to do it myself. My husband's Jake. He's always said, oh, we need to look into investment properties, whatever. And we're so busy that we never prioritized that learning or made a plan or a specific journey for it. So it's such a nebulous concept of buying a house, and it's an investment, and it's out of state. Yeah. It's just like, if you think of an octopus, there's so many arms. So we've been ruminating on that for years, but how do you put the rubber to the road and actually have a plan for it? Like, that's your program helped step it out kind of step by step, like even by the training modules and stuff. Like it taught us to crawl, to walk, to run, to race. That only started when I had your mentorship and kind of structure and guidance. So it took it from this like so chaotic, really nebulous idea, which is overwhelming. I mean, I would pick it up and look at it and be like, all right, I'm going to start looking up, oh God, I need to make a real estate team. I'll look at that next week. I got to go take the kids to soccer. And so you just get so overwhelmed and hit the analysis paralysis. So having the structure of this program to take me through, there's like, hey, look, step A, module B, module C, like we get through it. And then having the timeline of that, of having Casey be like, hey, we need to jump back into it. Where are you at? Like knowing that I've got old mom here to tell me like, hey, where are you at? I needed that external structure and accountability to help lead me through each of the steps.
So let's talk about your property. So you live in Southern California. I'm so jealous. You live at the beach. That's one thing I miss from California is now living in Tennessee. There's no beach, and the closest beach is like 8 hours away. Destin, Florida is our closest beach, and
we've got the beach, we've got snowboarding. We've got and ridiculous property taxes to boot. So.
I know, and I will say, like, when we lived in California, we've been here now 10 years in Tennessee. When we lived in California, I knew real estate was the way as far as investment properties, but I didn't know anyone who owned any. Like, we made like 40 offers on properties in the Inland Empire in like Fontana area. We made lots and lots of offers. Never really pulled the trigger because I wasn't quite sure. What if I'm wrong about the repairs? What if I'm wrong about the rent? What if I'm wrong about, like, I don't know. I mean, I was a real estate agent, but I didn't know anything about rentals, just flipping. That's it. I help people with flips. So we didn't buy anything. It's like, and if I like would have just freaking done it, we could have maybe stayed in California, because we would have had rental income, and that appreciation from those properties. So, but we didn't buy any, and we moved out here, and it's been great.
I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And the way that I'm looking at the properties for myself is, I had a bit of a mentor in my previous job who would tell you that time heals all wounds in real estate. So when you're looking at those fears of like, I'm working through construction stuff on a property now, and I'm realizing that maybe I didn't negotiate hard enough, whatever. So I'm going to end up paying more in some construction stuff than I should have. The thing is, when you're looking at an investment vehicle that you're hanging on to for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, all that's going to wash out. So I have the utmost faith and confidence that as I'm learning this, it's a whole new skill. I'm going to suck at it at first. No matter how much I research, I'm going to make mistakes. If you stay in the property long enough, even if you bought at the peak and you sell in the ditch, if you've done that over the span of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're still going to come out ahead.
Yeah.
So any mistakes that I'm making today, I'm really paying myself forward in the education, and the time will heal these wounds no matter what, because rental price is going to go up. Maybe not it jumps, but rental income is going to keep creeping up over time.
Like the cost of milk, movie ticket,
equity on that property, everything's going to go up. I mean, the statistics show it. So
So tell everyone, like,
mistakes.
Where did you buy your rentals? You have 3. So tell us about the properties. I know some of them have some kind of major renovations you're doing just all the way across the country. Are you planning on flying out to look at any of them?
No, I mean, I really jumped the shark and was like, I guess we're doing this. Let's go for 3. I had the ability to. I'm using my HELOC on my house, so a home equity line of credit. And I knew if my bandwidth is this big on the HELOC, why am I going to wait? Let's just do the thing. Am I going to go out and visit them? I don't know. I mean, I've never, ever been this far east in the country before. So we don't have a lot of money to spend on vacations. So would I just go and blow money to go fly out there? Probably not. I don't know. It might freak me out because it might feel more real at that point. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever go visit.
That's the good thing about you building a team that you trust, is that you don't feel like you have to go out there, and see. Yeah. So how much were your property? People always want to know, like, well, how people buy multiple, and, where they find the down payments for these, and, how much are your properties? So maybe give a quick overview of what the interest rate is, and the purchase price, and kind of about how much in repairs you'll make for those 3.
So I was targeting like C-class neighborhoods, looking at like C-class houses in C-class neighborhoods, or maybe getting a C-class house in a B-class neighborhood. In the area that I'm looking at right now at this point in time in the market, about $100,000 will get you a junker, but not like the roof caving in junker, just like girl needs new floors, she's going to need paint, she might need some counters, nothing too crazy. But down payment on that is going to be 20%, depending on what loan vehicle you use, but 20% seems pretty standard. So $100,000 house, 20,000 down. Investor rates are just slightly more expensive. I'm finding by like 1%, 1.5%. So I know right now, I don't know when anyone will watch this, but rates are terrible right now. But you marry the house, date the rate. Like, I understand that I can refinance later. I'm rambling. What was the core of the question?
What interest rate?
8.125 right now. I could have bought down slightly lower, but I actually plan to refinance these guys as interest rates come down. So it didn't make sense when you look at the numbers of, if I'm going to pay an extra $500 to save myself like, $50 a month, how many months it'll take me? 10 months to recoup that cost. Oh, well, I'm going to refinance in 6 months. So no, so my loan person helps me with that. I mean, those are the questions you find competent professionals. I did not know all this stuff before. So I found a loan person that would slow down, hold me by the hand, who would take the time to teach me the things I needed to know. So now the stuff is like the back of my hand. I found a real estate agent who understands investors, and she's taking me through it bit by bit. Casey you helped me understand finding the team, right? Like finding people that work with me as I need it. And let me front load the conversation. You're going to ask, what's a mistake you've made? Not hiring a bad realtor earlier on. I spent probably months trying to hold this person's hand out of a place of kindness and wanting to give back and honoring the work he'd done for me, never having paid him a cent because he's a buying agent. And it held me back in this process by probably a good 4 or 5 months because I didn't just sever the tie.
And when you did, and you found the new agent, you're like, holy This
I
is a
got my
game changer.
first offer accepted with, I got my offer accepted with her within like a month. I'd been working with this other guy for 5 months.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you just got to find the right team, and
And
then
then it
you
just
feel
snowballed.
confident.
Yes. Yeah. The team is so crucial. And a lot of people don't understand, what a good realtor is supposed to do, what a good lender is supposed to do, what they're supposed to teach, how they're supposed to teach you, or the knowledge. I like my team members to know everything about all the other ones. Like, I want my realtor to understand rents and rental markets just like the property manager. I want my lender to understand rentals and investment properties and rehabs. Like, I want everyone to know the same stuff, especially when you're out of state, because you need all the validation you can get. You're not there. So you need a lot of cross checkpoints of people saying the same things so you can feel confident in making those moves. I mean, that's really the only way. You can't just make a decision because one person said that. Like, that's stupid, right? You need to have multiple people and yourself super confident in the result, because this is your financial future on the line. This is hard-earned down payment money, money that a house you're responsible for after you buy it, that you can't just like return at Whole Foods or Amazon, like at the drop-off center. Like, you have to own this property now and deal with the ramifications of whatever you did. So better be damn sure, that you're making the right choices.
Be sure. And then, that kind of touches back on the, like, that the time heals the wounds, and that, you might make mistakes, but you'll get through them. And a thing I keep telling myself in this process, because it is overwhelming, it's scary, like, oh my God, I'm buying now 3 houses, like 1,000 miles away from me. I've been through harder. So I just keep reminding myself that, like, at the end of the day, this is numbers. And the more that I can divorce myself from the emotion of what's going on here, and that's the investment game, is this isn't a house I'm living in. I keep reminding myself, like, and I'm saying it out loud to my husband, well, I'm not going to live there. Formica or a stone countertop? Well, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers, because I'm going to pay more for stone. Is it going to get me more in rent? Is it going to make my house more immediately rentable? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. It's ugly. Formica. I'm not going to live there. It's about the numbers. So it's part of what I keep telling myself is, don't feel too scared about it, because learn how to do the numbers, and then you can feel confident just looking at the paper to make the choice instead of letting your heart lead the way.
Absolutely. So what would you say, Kate's like one of the most valuable aspects of my program? So I've got, the online course, the Brick Vault, all the things to teach you, coaching calls. What would you say if you had to pick something that kind of kept you going, or was the most influential to your success in the program and getting free properties? What would you say that would be? What comes to mind?
You. I mean, the program was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous. And the thing that I really looked forward to the most was the mentorship. You can read a book. I mean, a lot of what you tell us in the course, I mean, you are not inventing the wheel, right? Like, this is great information that I suppose I could have gotten from this YouTube, that YouTube, this book, asking that person. It condensed it all into one really digestible place. Technically, I guess I could have gotten a lot of that through a lot of more work other places, but it's your mentorship. So having that, once in the beginning, we met a lot more as we're working through the education component. But having you not only there as, like, I jokingly called you mom earlier, because I know that I need to meet with you. It's pushing me forward. It's that accountability of pushing me forward to doing my assignments and not wanting to show up to the mentor who I have paid perfectly good money for, who is a professional, and have nothing to show for it. Like, how embarrassing, what a waste of my time and money. So having the accountability buddy of you, but being able to talk this stuff through, and it's interesting, like, how in the beginning I was not overwhelmed, but just like, oh my gosh, you're just clicking through this stuff. Like, oh yeah, second nature, this, that, look at this one, look at that one. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? What do I do? Now that stuff is second nature for me, right? Like, being able to see the forest for the trees and being able to make some of these quicker decisions. Even just a little bit ago when you and I were checking in, I didn't think that I was going to talk through the decision to add a bedroom and a bathroom to a house with you and I didn't think about it. Like I got even more clarity and perspective because you've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
So the thing I liked most about it was hanging out with you, Casey, picking your brain, getting information from you.
Well, I like hanging out with you too.
Stop it.
I know. So would you say, and everybody always wants to know, everything always comes down to cost and how much does it cost? You know, programs are always changing, prices are always changing depending on what I'm, offering and how the program is evolving. But would you say that for your investment, would you say that it was worth it and would you do it again?
Absolutely. I mean, it was the thing that made me do it. Like I've been flirting with this idea for years, never had the direction, focus, encouragement. It wasn't until I did this and brought more seriousness and clarity to the process of buying a home. If it wasn't for this program, Lord knows when I would have gotten around to doing that and really being serious about it and not hitting. I tend to hit analysis paralysis. So I'm if you could see my little document vault that I've created of just like all the spreadsheets, I've got a document for that because I hit analysis paralysis. So I have done this without you? Yes, I suppose theoretically it is within my wheelhouse of possible. Yes. Would I have? I don't know. I mean, life is busy, right? Like I'm chasing children around. I also work. Having this structure to lie back on, to be supported by, was what got this done for me. So I have zero regrets whatsoever on spending the money for it. I mean, coaching is one of the very best investments you can make in the person that you want to be. And if that's nutrition coaching, whatever it is, I needed this type of coaching to get my financial life to where I know I want it to be. So the Kate 5 years from now is so stoked about this decision to have done this. The Kate right now is super stoked that I did it, but in the future, I know that this will have been one of those kind of critical points for me of I coughed up the dough, pushed play, and this is taking me to where I want to go.
It worked out. You did it. I know. Last question. Let's say someone's watching this and they're thinking, oh, I might want to join Casey's program. I'm not sure. Sounds expensive or whatnot. What would you say to that person to get them off the fence and join?
What's the cost to wait? I mean, so in this span of a year that I did this, it didn't take me a year to do this calendar year. If I hadn't have done this program to make me do this now, to make me pass through the analysis paralysis, hit all the marks, get the knowledge, get an offering, get accepted, I've closed, I could have wasted all that money not doing it. So it's the tax write-offs, it's home prices are going to go up as interest rates come down. I could be losing money like that. I don't want to sound salesy on it, right? Like it could be costing me money to not do it in terms of time, because real estate is you get in the market and you chill, and it's in that chill space that you're making your money. So if I'm putting that chill space off, if I keep pushing that starting line forward, you might be hitting these you might be running a race with a hill instead of flat ground. I don't know. I'm very metaphoric. Sorry.
Yeah,
but
like everybody always says, oh, I wish I would have bought sooner. I wish I would have bought back then. Just like I say, I wish I would have bought, 10 years ago before I started or whatever. Yesterday was always better. And so, yeah, there is a cost factor as far as waiting to buy real estate. And I think that's a good point. People haven't really mentioned that before on my wonderful testimonial calls, is that the cost to wait is a cost, So just get going. And I have like several students, like you guys have a real estate background. You've bought a property before. You guys are in real estate. Your husband's an agent. But some students of mine they rent. They don't even own their own home, and they've never bought anything. And they just saw it last month that, learned about rental properties, and they join and they do it. So it's like.
And to clarify, like, yeah, my husband's a realtor, but he's residential. So like, we didn't know, we actually thought we knew more coming into this process than it turns out we did. Jake knows how to buy and sell houses for people who want to live in them. The investment game is completely different. Like, yes, you're buying a house and selling a house, paperwork is the same, but the strategy and the philosophy is completely different. So I would be afraid to tell people, oh, well, this person was already in real estate, so they're going to think that they can't do it because they weren't in real estate. We were speaking a completely different dialect. I mean, it's like speaking French and this is Italian. Like, sure, some of the words make sense, but it really is a different language. And just to clarify for people who don't own their own house, it was through purchasing our first house that we bought at a good time because we weren't scared. It's the time heals the wounds. We bought a piece of junk property that was a foreclosure that literally had poo in the toilets. Like, it was 20,000 pounds of garbage in the house. That was our house that we bought. But because we bought that house, we sat on it for 5 years. We did the work ourselves. We sat on it for 5 years. We sold that house with 100,000 in profit. It was because of that profit that I was able to pay off my vehicles, have a vacation to conceive my daughter, to get my next house. And when I got my next house, again, because I was in the market and wasn't scared, COVID incidentally took property values in California and made this huge jump. And it's that jump, that equity that I have on my house of what I paid versus what it's worth, that time in the market, that's what I'm using to do this. I'm not even using cash. I'm using debt. Like, I understand that it was buying my first house that turned into a vehicle for growth. So even if it's not one that you're living in, it's still the springboard. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I love it. Kate, you've been a fantastic student. 3 properties, so proud. You've gone through the ups and downs in the program and you pushed all the way through and then some. So I can't say how proud I am of you. So excellent, excellent work. And your organizational skills are like above par. Like, oh my God. So organized.
It's high functioning anxiety is what that is.
Amazing. Yeah, keep that. Anyways, thank you so much today for this amazing testimonial. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.